Today on my next project, I make this bookcase here, bookcase holder for my wife's first grade classroom. Stick around and check out how we build this. The first thing I did is I went to the table saw and cut up this sheet of plywood. I built this entire thing out of one sheet of plywood with very little waste. So if you decide to make this project yourself, one sheet of plywood will knock this whole thing out. Next I went over to the miter saw and I went ahead and cut this and then did a little raise up to help mark it over halfway, so that when I flip it over here it makes it easy to make the rest of that cut. This is not a perfect cut, as I will cut it down again at the table saw, so this is just to get it really close to the center. Actually it's off centered a little bit to make sure I have room for the blade width on my table saw cuts. After this is done, we're going back to the table saw and I'll cut these to the final length, and they are already at the final width. All together for this cabinet, since I'm building two of them, you'll have 6 sides that are the exact same. And then you'll have, of course, 2 tops and 2 bottoms for each cabinet. And now we'll cut those tops and bottoms now. And now we officially have everything cut out to final length and width for the project. Next we're going to go cut some dados or some grooves for the side panels to fit into to help square this up and just make it easier when we assemble it. We do this on the top and bottom of each of these panels. I'm doing the left and right side of each of these now, and then I'll come back and do the middle one in just a minute. If you have to, you may have to adjust your dado to make sure you get the cut the right width, but mine was fine the way it was, so I just made one pass. For the middle section, I did make 2 passes. I set it up and then I flipped it around to make the cut right in the center, and this ended up working out perfect, and it was the right width for my plywood divider to fit into. So I'm going to do this on all 4 of them now. Now I labeled this one box number 1 because I actually assembled these 2 different. Box number 2 is definitely the way to go. Don't do it this way here. I almost excluded this, but I was like, nah, I'll just show you guys how slow it was doing this way. So what I did here is I started off by using the opposite side as like a little brace here to hold it in place while I did this left side, and then I flipped it over and added another brad nail, and then I actually go back and I'm going to glue and brad nail the right side in. You'll see what I mean here in just a minute, but since this was hard to balance, I went ahead and did it this way. Again, watch box 2, that's the way to go with this. This is not the way to do it. And here I'm going to draw a line down the center to make sure I don't miss any of these brad nails as I put these in one after another to get the middle done. Rinse and repeat. Now I'm going to go ahead and add one side of this box together. Flip it over and do the other side, then just put the little panel in there. And all we're using to hold this together is brad nails and glue. That's more than strong enough to make this thing last. A clamp to help hold this one in place. And then place the panel in place, and then brad nails again. Alright, now that we got box 1 pretty much out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to box 2 and the best way to do this. Again, these boxes are exactly the same, I just assembled them a little bit different. This time I went ahead and put glue down on all 3 of these little spots first. I went back and started with the middle one again and put a couple brad nails in it to hold it in place and help balance everything. And then we're going to do the same thing for the sides, for both sides. Just a couple brad nails to hold it in place. And then the far side. Now we're going to spin this whole thing around after we add glue to this end. And now we're going to go ahead and tack this in place to hold it, and then after we get it tacked in all 3 panels, we'll set it on the ground and we're ready to knock out all the brad nails. Like I said, this way was much easier. So if you guys are going to build one of these, go ahead and build it the way I did this second one. Definitely the way to go. Well, then I took it outside and I let my wife paint these because I don't like painting. If you've been a follower of my channel for very long, you know I can't stand painting. So she got these things painted. We're looking at the bottom now. We're going to add brad nails. No reason to paint the bottom, and she didn't want to, so it don't matter to me as long as she's happy. We had 4 casters on this thing here, and we're about ready to wrap this thing up and call this project done. And now we're going to go ahead and screw these together to keep them from tipping over and falling over or anything like that. So that's going to wrap up another video. These are to hold some books. I'll get a picture of it and put it on the screen here at the end when it's filled up. This is my wife's classroom. She's a first grade teacher this year. And she needed these to put some of her books in, so I made them for that. And just in case, because someone's probably going to ask, and I didn't make plans for this. There's no plans, but I can tell you that this thing is 11 inches wide and it is 24 3/4 inches tall for each cabinet, which makes the total of it 49.5 inches from top to bottom, plus the casters that are on the bottom. Deep, it is 23 3/4. This happens to be your first video, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can see more videos I have coming out. Also, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, mainly on Instagram. I don't do much on Twitter for some reason, but I have Twitter. But you can go to Instagram and give me a follow there, and you can see other projects I'm working on and see them before the videos come out. Thanks again for watching, and as always, y'all will see me next time.